back with viewer mail with Gene Brooks. Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, Michael.
So let's jump right into it. Betsy from Dutch Island via talkinglawtv.com. My insurance company won't pay for car repairs the manufacturer recommends. What can I do?
Well, this would be on her comprehensive policy. She should be a first person. First of all, make sure she has coverage for that, and if she has coverage, that would cover that. She would need to write them a letter, and probably with documentation from the body shop saying why this repair should be done and what specifically needs to be done and how much it costs. And there are procedure books that can be shown. And these are safety requirements, really, for the car. A car should be fixed back to the position that it's safe. And then her insurance company at that point would have 60 days to pay that claim. If they don't pay it within 60 days, then she could bring suit against her insurance company. The damages are somewhat limited, but they're going to be limited to the cost of whatever she says needs to be done. And if they can be shown to be bad faith, in other words, that the insurance company acted, and sort of thumbed their nose at her, for instance, then she could recover another $5,000 and attorney's fees and expenses. But it's pretty limited. In Georgia, the insurance laws are not favorable for the consumer.
Are you entitled to factory parts, or can they throw these Chinese reproductions at you?
Well, it really goes back to what the procedures are, because the procedures are nationally known. I think there are three basic ones that are adopted around the country. Most of the insurance companies use those and have adopted those because they're safety-based. You don't want to get in a situation where if you get a, I guess, an off-label part, for lack of a better name, that's not going to fit in the car, so that the body shop has to, bend it and kind of remake it to fit into the car, because then I think you have a weakened part, and it's probably not up to the safety standards.
Okay. Our next question is from Clifford from Isle of Hope via toll-free line. My insurance company won't pay to get rid of the mold in my house. What should I do? And that's been in the news a lot, the black mold.
Yeah, no, that's a big concern. That black mold is called Stachybotrys, which means that the house has had a serious leak for a long time. There are lots of different types of molds, and of course we have them everywhere, and it's really just a matter of how much is in the house. Now, a lot of insurance companies, and these are homeowner policies, they'll exclude mold coverage. So, or they will cover it just to a certain degree. Sometimes have like a $5,000 coverage, and they will say, we are accepting mold coverage, or they'll sell you a policy and act like they're doing a big deal. But they've limited it at $5,000, which is really a small amount if you're going to go in and remediate a house from mold. But if you look at your policy, there are different types of homeowner policies, and every policy is controlled by the language in it. If you have an all-risk policy, that's the best, as opposed to a named peril policy. And a named peril policy is sort of limited coverage. It names specifically what it covers, and if it's not named, it won't cover it. So if mold is not named, it won't cover it.
Okay.
But if it's a broader one, if it's an all-risk policy, then unless there's a specific exclusion, and there are in a lot of them, then it would be covered. But it can also maybe be covered under water damage, and that's where we would look at it. See if the mold was a result of water damage, then maybe you can get it in under an all-risk policy.
Okay. Our next one's from Sharon from Ellabelle from the website. If I let my sister use my car and she's in a wreck, can I be sued?
Okay. And this is, I know, a big one when people are letting people borrow the car. Probably not. She might be sued, but she wouldn't be kept in the case. Under her policy, assuming she has an insurance policy, other people who she lets use her car are permissive users. And so that permissive user is then the insured, and so that permissive user, in this case her sister, is the one who would be properly sued. Now, in a case, if an owner lets somebody use their car and no one say that they're intoxicated or knowing that they're an incompetent driver, perhaps maybe they're underage, whatever, then in that case, the owner of the vehicle can be sued for what's called negligent entrustment. In other words, they've entrusted a car to somebody in a negligent manner, because cars can be very dangerous.
Okay, our next one's from Chris in Port Wentworth. From the toll-free line, I was exposed to dangerous chemicals at work that might damage my health in the future. Can I sue my employer now?
Probably no. And that we do get those calls and say, well, I've been exposed and I don't know how this is going to affect me in the future. Well, first of all, you have to have specific injuries in order to bring a case. And secondly, in this case, it would only be a work comp claim. And work comp claims only cover really if you're totally disabled from work or if you're partially disabled from work. Otherwise, if you have a permanent disability at the time, otherwise you're not going to get any work comp coverage.
Our next one's from Misty in Rincon. My neighbor's dog bit my child. He required stitches. What can I do?
Well, you can ask him to pay it, but it depends on the dog's history. Unless it's in the county. Now, Chatham County does have a dog leash law, so the dogs are supposed to be on a leash. Or maybe it's a city code, that it have to be on a leash. And so if that's not done and the dog escapes and bites a child, then there may be some negligence if the person has it. It would be covered under their homeowner's policy.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Gene. If you have a question for one of our attorneys, you can call and leave it on our toll-free line at 888-2037-LAW or visit our website at talkinglawtv.com. Hope you enjoyed this show and you join us again next week. Bye-bye, everybody.